we provide bespoke, independent advice to a range of clients, from business owners, entrepreneurs, private clients, and their families. We appreciate that each client is different and their service solutions must be different. So as a result, we work with the individuals to create a solution that is tailored to their needs, their businesses, and their family. We provide the right advice at the time that you need it. So what is a financial health check? A financial health check is a comprehensive review of your financial situations, your current plans, your investments, and your goals. It will give you the picture and help you understand where you are. Are your plans on track to help you to get you where you want to be? And if not, what can we do to improve them? What do we typically look at through a financial health check? So in the financial health check, we will look through all of your financial circumstances, specifically your income and expenses, assisting you with budgeting needs and cash flow planning. We do believe that cash flow planning is one of the most impactful bits of advice that you can receive. Again, it helps you paint that picture. Am I on track to achieve my goal? If not, what do I need to do? We will look at your assets and liabilities through your savings and investments, as well as your debts, and what action can be taken to reduce your debts and increase your savings longer term. We will look at your investments, including the individual holdings within a portfolio. Are they performing in line with market average? And are you exposing the investments to undue risk? Risk can mean lots of things to different people, but specifically within investment risk, it's measurement of volatility. Now, are you being rewarded within your investment selection versus the volatility that you're taking? We will also cover pensions. Now, pensions, people view pensions in various different ways, but is there sufficient income? Is there sufficient capital to create an income in retirement? And what sort of retirement are you seeking to achieve? Through the review, we can paint a picture of what sort of sustainable income level can be obtained with the current provision that you've got within your pensions. And if not, what can you do to increase the value of your pensions longer term to give you that retirement that you're looking for? We'll also look at protection, life cover for yourself, any income protection that you might seek to acquire, and how does that look after your loved ones and individuals in a worst case scenario. We'll also look at tax planning. Now, taxes have changed recently, and we believe they will continue to change. It's an ever-changing landscape, and that's why it's important to review your circumstances to see what additional tax planning you can do to reduce the tax burden that you will have. And that follows into the last section there that we look at, estate planning, and how can we mitigate some of the inheritance tax that you or your beneficiaries will eventually be paying. We'll look through how to create wills and trusts through our contacts. Now, we believe a financial health check is important and it should be done annually, at least annually. And we liken it to an annual MOT on your car. It is important to ensure that your financial circumstances are correct today, but also they're fit for purpose for the year ahead as well into the future. And that's the key reason why we do it, is to ensure that you're not exposed to any pitfalls within your plan, and hopefully can give you the reassurance that you'll be on track to get your goal. Now, the reasons for a financial review, there are varying reasons, but we believe the most important reason is any life change, any life circumstance change, and we've detailed a few on the screen there. However, the most important one, and through experience, the most impactful one, is when you become a spender instead of a saver, to use the FCA's terminology, being an accumulator into decumulation. That retirement planning will be one of the biggest lifestyle changes that you have, and it has a big impact on your mental psychology towards your finances. And we work with clients to ensure that that transition is as smooth as possible. Now, with investments is an ever-changing landscape, and that's why it's important to review that your fund is appropriate for what you're trying to achieve. And as I said earlier in the call, that you're being rewarded for the volatility that you're taking within your investment selection. Again, as I commented earlier about the changes in the tax landscape, there's often news about potential changes, but that's why it's important that you do make the most of your annual allowances. Again, the word annual being that they refresh every year, and as a result, your annual review is important, and it helps you mitigate any unnecessary tax that you can help to avoid. As well as your circumstances change, your insurance needs may change. Are you earning more than you did last year? Is your income protection policy still suitable? Do you have other assets that you're looking to protect? Have you got a new child that you need to look after through a different sort of policy? So it's important that you check your policies. Are they fit for purpose? And that's something that we can help you with. Are your goals still the same? Now, you may have a goal to purchase a new house in a few years. You may have a goal to seek to generate a certain level of income or a different level of income in the future. And that's where we can review your finance situation. Is that aligned with what you're trying to achieve? And if so, what do we need to do to change? As I said earlier as well, the benefit of an annual review is it helps you spot any problems that you may run into, as well as proactive advice has been evidence to improve your financial situation. So it's always important to review, and that's what we're here to help with. So what's included within an annual review? We will invite individuals and business owners to come to our office, have an in-depth conversation about what your current circumstances are, what investments you have, what protection you have, and ultimately what goal, what objective you're trying to achieve. Through that discussion, we can commit to proceeding with the review. And if you appoint us to do the review, we will seek to get the information directly from the product provider, whether that be your pension provider, your investment provider, or protection provider. We do work in a highly regulated environment, and as a result, we will require a letter of authority, which engages us to work as your agent with the provider to get chapter and verse. We will then digest all the information you have given to us, as well as the information we can obtain from the provider, and analyze it. Are your circumstances in line with the market average? Are they in line with what you're trying to achieve? And if not, we will make recommendations to improve them. However, if your circumstances are tip-top, we will certainly say that there is no improvement required. And that's part of the service. I think will give you the reassurance to know that you're on track to achieve your goals and you're not exposed to undue risk within your investment selection or undue cost through your fund management. And as I said right at the start of the call, we believe the cash flow planning is one of the most beneficial service that we can provide, and that's something we'll go through, whether you're on your way into retirement or just certainly at your earlier stage in your life cycle. If you're starting to earn certain money, if you're looking to put some more money away, the use of cash flow planning gives you a clear picture of a realistic outcome from your stocks, from your portfolio. Is your income sufficient to meet your expenses? And if so, what do you need to do to change them? Your pensions and investments will come under the same umbrella within that, trying to build you that realistic expectation in the future. Through cash flow planning, we can build in some expectations in terms of performance, lifespan, lifestyle, and that will give you that picture, that reassurance that you're seeking to get, as well as the insurances that I mentioned before. So it's important that you get the annual review. It's beneficial for yourself. It gives you the peace of mind that your circumstances are on track. And if not, we can give you the advice to help you improve your circumstances and get you there. And with that, I will pass over to my colleague who's going to run through some case studies.
All right, morning all. As Matt said, I'm going to run through some case studies which illustrate sort of how important it is to make sure you are keeping on top of your finances and what planning for the future can help you achieve. So there's 4 case studies. Obviously, I've changed the names. Mr. and Mrs. A have been clients of mine for 15 years and a bit more. We set up pensions and some life insurance with critical illness for them both at the beginning. Unfortunately, a few years ago, they decided to get divorced. It was quite an amicable divorce. And they, as their trusted advisor, they asked me to help them separate the finances fairly. They had pensions and other investments that they wanted to split. So we've done that. Mr. A has now got a new fiance and a baby. Unfortunately, Mr. A had a heart attack, but the cover that he had in place provided him with a lump sum payout. Now this gave him, although it's not a great situation to have had a heart attack, it's given a bit of support at a time that he needed it. His doctor told him to slow down and reduce stress, so he decided to become a self-employed driver because his job was quite stressful that he was doing before, so he wanted to take it a bit easier. But unfortunately, he lost his driving license, which is a bit of an issue when you want to be a driver. So he come to me and explained the situation, what had happened. And he said, I just want to see if I can retire. He wants to see if he can spend more time with his new daughter, as well as sort of look after his health a bit more. So we sat down and went through the cash flow forecasting that Matt mentioned previously. So we looked at what he wanted to achieve, what he had in his investments and pensions already, to make sure that he can draw enough funds and they're going to last him for the period that he needs to before he gets his state pension. And we sat down, looked at the figures, and it worked out that he can do. So by making sure that you're sitting down, looking at what you've got, planning for the future, looking at what you got in place, and reviewing that regularly, sometimes you can achieve more than what you actually think you can. Moving on to the next one, Mr. and Mrs. B. These are slightly different clients. They, again, long-standing clients of mine. They came to me. They were fairly wealthy already. They had a pot of around £500,000 in cash. And they said they wanted to build retirement funds and funds to help put their kids through university. They had three children that I've seen grow up during the relationship that I had with my clients. So we sat down, again, looked at what they've got, what they want to achieve, looking at what they needed to get to achieve their goals, what level of funds they needed to get in place to do what they wanted to do. They wanted to retire a bit earlier than perhaps a lot of people do. They got a property in France that they wanted to spend a lot of time in. So with the plan in place, the first of the children has been through and finished university. The other two in the last years. So that part of the plan's ticked off. They have got their children through the education that they wanted to. They've retired early, which is great, and they've still got about £1 million in the bank for the future, or in their investments for the future. So again, by sitting down at the beginning of our relationship, we put in place a plan that has helped them achieve all of their goals, and they're looking to help their children with deposits for their first properties. So they're sort of achieved over and above what they wanted to by sitting down and being sensible and having the annual reviews, looking at what they've got. Is it achieving where it needs to, what they need it to do? If anything needed to be changed along the way, we did. But yeah, so they've got there and achieved the goals. Moving on to the next client. This is a business client. This is a fairly new client. They were two directors of a fairly new company. They have quite a considerable cash balance in their business bank account. One of the directors approached me because she was worried she didn't have any life insurance, and because they had been setting up the company over the last few years, they hadn't made any contributions into pensions. They contacted when they contacted me. They were looking at making personal contributions to the pensions, but when we looked at what they've got in place, they could actually use funds from their business. And we could go back 3 years, because they hadn't contributed in the last 3 years to the pensions. We could go back and use the last 3 years contributions that they didn't use. So they're able to put in £180,000 each into pensions, which reduced the profits of the company by £360,000, and therefore reducing their corporation tax bill by £90,000. We also looked at the life policy. We set up a relevant life policy, which is a tax efficient policy that's set up through the business. The business pays the premiums and covers a member of staff, which is a director in this case, and it's a tax deductible expense. So it means the company's saving tax, and because it's paid from the company prior to the client having paid tax on their income, it's tax efficient for the client as well. So yeah, the outcome of that, by sort of sitting down and looking at the whole situation rather than just their personal situation, we looked at the whole situation, including the business. We saved the business a whole load of tax, and we also got the retirement planning back on track for the directors after a couple of years that they'd had out. And then the final client I'm going to talk about, this really illustrates how important it is to keep on top of what you got, review everything you've got annually, because you never know what you've got in place. So Mr. and Mrs. D, they were just coming up to retirement. They engaged me to help with their retirement income, help them with their retirement plan, and sort of set up an income to be coming in. We ran through their whole situation in a lot of detail. They had several pensions in place. Part of the process that we go through when we're doing a review is we write to providers, ask for the full details of any policies that clients have in place. So there were several pensions in place and some investments, and from what on the face of things, they had sufficient funds anyway to retire. So what they'd done was it worked for them. However, one pension that Mr. D thought was worth £25,000, when the paperwork came back, it was actually worth. One part of it was worth £25,000. But there's also a part of the policy that was worth £880,000. There was a separate part of the policy that he didn't know existed, which is obviously great news for the client, and sort of over the moon that they've got this money now. But looking back, how could that have changed their life if they had been reviewing what they've got on an annual basis, they would have known that they've got this, and then they could have perhaps retired earlier. They could have gone on better holidays. They could have had nicer cars. They could have had a different house. They could have. There's 100 different things, 1,000 different things they could have done differently, had they known what they've got. And as it is, they're very comfortable now. They've drawn a lot more money than they thought they were going to. Their retirement is in a much better place than they expected it to be. But the rest of the life coming up to retirement could have been a lot easier as well if they'd known what they had in place. Yeah, so that's all of the case studies that I'm going to run through today, and then I hope that illustrates sort of the importance of what we do, how important it is to keep on top of things that you've got, and making sure that when you've got plans, that if you sit down and look at them properly, you can achieve what your goals are.